Welcome back to the Abundance Alchemist, your quiet space to remember who you are. Outside. The night hums, but here the world goes soft and slow. In this hush, a whisper moves through the dark, gentle as breath on glass. It isn't loud, not urgent or wild. Just a ripple in the silence, the subtle ache of something about to begin. You know it, don't you? That murmur beneath your usual thoughts, the one that flickers in those wordless moments before sleep, or curls around your chest when the world feels both familiar and strange. It's the trembling hush before first light, the secret invitation woven through your longing, a quiet, sacred voice that wonders if maybe, just maybe, you are ready for more. There is a rhythm at the heart of all things. A pulse that governs when seeds split rock and rivers leap their banks, when our lives burst open all at once after years underground. Some call it fate or alignment. Some say it's your soul remembering the song it always knew. Tonight we name it divine timing, the still, small voice whispering, "You are ready," not because you have all the answers, but because you have finally softened into your own becoming. Let yourself unfurl here. Let the world's heaviness slide off your shoulders. In this space, pauses are holy, every slow inhale a prayer, every exhale a letting go. There is nothing to chase, no one to impress. Only a timeless truth, rising quietly inside you. You are ready, not in spite of your doubts, but because of them. You are ready, not because the world is cheering, but because your soul, in the deepest silences, in the gentle tremble of the unknown, has whispered yes. So rest, wanderer, linger here. Let your heart remember the rhythm it once trusted. Here with me, you are safe to listen again to the whisper, to the invitation that knows your name and says beneath everything, "Welcome home." The journey is beginning. You know the weight I'm speaking of, the slow, silent ache of living life on pause, waiting for some secret bell to ring, for permission to begin. It's the kind of tired that's older than your body. It waits with you in two long mornings, stretched between sighs and second guesses. It visits in the hush right before sleep, when all the masked urgency fades, and what's left is just you and the ache of wanting more but not quite moving. Some nights you look at your reflection and see the shimmer of all your dreams behind your eyes, beautiful, trembling, almost reachable, but closed behind a window called not yet. You find yourself tracing the outline of desire with your breath, as if you could breathe it into being, if only you felt more ready. But readiness is a horizon that keeps stepping farther away each time you think you're drawing closer. You reach and prepare and polish, thinking the day will come when every part of you feels light, but instead you wait. You learn to bear the ache, you learn its language, the dull throb at the edge of hope. Maybe your heart is tired from overthinking, from all the ways your soul whispers and your logic replies, not yet, not quite, almost. You've learned this waiting, how to stay gentle, outwardly calm while an entire storm swirls beneath your skin. Tonight, rest your bones, let yourself notice that ache. Notice how it holds hands with your longing, how it traces old patterns, how it asks again and again, when is it my turn? When do I get to go? When do I get to just live as if I am already enough? Let this be your invitation to simply feel, no fixing, no explaining, no more arguing with the ache. Just honesty now whispered to the dark. I am so tired of waiting to feel ready. And isn't that the truest thing of all? There is a hush that only arrives in the hours just before dawn, the liminal hush, where the ache inside your chest grows more honest, nothing to prove and no one to impress, only that tremble of wanting, gentle and strange, ready to unfurl if given half a chance. It is here, right in the velvet quiet, that desire has permission to stretch her legs and to uncurl from the edges where she's been pressed thin by years of keeping still. You feel her sometimes as a low, pulsing hum, a throb beneath your skin, echoing with the shimmer of longing you don't always dare to name. She is the soft burn under your ribs when you imagine being seen wholly in the wholeness of what you offer. Not for applause, not for gold stars, but for the deep, drinkable relief of finally dropping every disguise. Of letting the wildest pieces inside you have their sunlight, not locked away, not dimmed, just unfurled as true as breath. Desire is honest, even when we pretend she's not there. She's woven into the dark tapestry of old stories and childhood rules tangled up in the cautionary tales about being too much or shining too brightly. Stories that say visibility will cost you comfort or belonging. Inside those knots, the ache feels tender and dangerous. Could you really be known fully? Could your gift sit on the altar where everyone could see? The answer lives underground, shy and waiting, still undefeated by time. Notice how the body knows before the mind admits it. You flush at compliments, hide your boldness, shrink to fit old outlines. But the longing does not shrink. Each night, as your head sinks into the pillow, it reshapes itself in dreams, growing new wings, daring to imagine what might rise if you invite your soul out of hiding. It aches not just to want, but to be ready to want. To let the world see your actual face, stripped of careful editing. Sometimes the wanting grows urgent, like river water behind a dam that strains and strains, making promises to the future. Sometimes it whispers, next time after the next self-help book once you're fixed, when everything's right. Desire is patient but stubborn, she'll wait but never really disappears. She's a stowaway in every midnight wish, every breath that catches when you picture a life that fits like second skin. And when you remember that wanting itself is holy, when you finally grant it permission to live inside your bones without shame or harsh negotiation, the dam gives a little. A fracture, light seeps in. You start to wonder, what if your longing is sacred? What if it's proof of aliveness, a secret handshake from your soul saying, yes, I'm here, I want to grow, I want to be seen, loved, cherished, chosen just as I am? In this hush, you don't have to declare anything to the world. Just let yourself want, let yourself ache. Let your desire be the first soft truth you whisper in the darkness, not a demand, not a contract, just a trembling yes in the dark. You are allowed to want more, to be more, to outgrow who you were yesterday. You've been ready far longer than you let yourself believe. Tonight, let your desire rise like vapor from your quiet heart, not to fix, not to judge, not to rush. Just to notice, just to remember. Let that remembering be enough. There is a reason your palms clench when abundance whispers at the edge of your life, a reason you inhale hope, then hold your breath, waiting, guarding, hoping not to be disappointed again. Some part of you still tucks away the softest dreams, hides them like small wild creatures curling against the cold. You have felt it, haven't you? The way that wanting can ache. The way you reach toward the light and some old shadow pulls your arm gently back. It is not a loud fear. No, it's quieter than that. It sounds like your own voice, pretending not to want or rehearsing the reasons why good things don't happen for you. Like drizzling rain shutting the window on sunlight moment by cautious moment. You grew up near people who learned to wait, wait for the other shoe to drop, wait for the penny to pinch, wait for the storm behind every calm sky. And even though you long for more, some part of you remembers the stories about how unsafe it was to want too much, about how the heart survives by shrinking inside its own cage. Here you are now with so much soul and so much longing. You tidy your hopes, making them small enough to fit in your pocket, easy to hide if anyone looks too close. The world taught you to thin your dreams, break them into pieces, dress them in caution, so they wouldn't be stolen, mocked, or broken in the open air of hope. But I see you, love, the one who still hopes. I know there's been loss, promises cracked open like eggs on pavement. There were doors that closed so quietly you barely noticed it was your own heart locking them. And now, abundance waits outside, barefoot and patient, holding gifts you ache to open, but the old stories of lack and betrayal tug at you, reminding you how swiftly the sweetness can turn to ache. Sometimes you accept just enough, a trickle instead of the river. You call it humility, call it gratitude, even as your soul mourns the ocean it remembers. But scarcity is not your inheritance, never was. It was a spell taught by exhausted people, wound tight against their own hopes, their own heartbreaks. Tonight I want to mirror your ache, not fix it, to sit with your longing, not silence it. You do not have to choose emptiness to feel safe. You are allowed to meet your fear, not as a failure of your spirit, but as the honest trembling of a heart that never lost its awe. Soften your jaw, dear one, let your chest untangle. Let the old fear rise, swirl, and breathe. Underneath all that bracing, a quiet knowing lingers. This life aches for you to receive. You are not too broken to let it in. You're here again, letting your breath slow, feeling the echoes you tuck away daylight after daylight. There's the hush, a kind of velvet stillness that isn't just quiet but knowing. Yes, you know this place, even as it drifts behind your eyes. Somewhere under skin and story, there's an ache that arches, a longing you learned not to touch. Maybe it's the quickening in your chest when something beautiful tries to arrive but you pause. Maybe it's the soft resistance, no fight, just a closing, a folding, as if your heart grew shy in its own light. Patterns like these don't call your name out loud. They hum, gentle, haunted. A reluctance that rises only when you get close to what matters most. Have you noticed how your spirit leans in and then shivers, drawing back, afraid to step through doors it begged for all winter? This is not laziness, not weakness. This is ancient protection, a looping dance you learned the night your dreams first asked for tenderness. Each repetition, a careful measure, testing, counting, waiting for the world to become worthy of your full yes. You remember the old hesitations, how they circle quietly. They whisper, not yet, not ready, not safe. The urge lives alongside the ache, equal and opposite, pulling tides within tides. The more you want, the more you guard. The closer the awakening, the tighter the hush. It's 1,000 micro-delays, some too small to name. A pause before you answer, an extra check before you dare, a breath you hold just a second longer, as if waiting for some private permission. All the ways you practice patience, not as a gift, but as a shield. If you listen kindly tonight, you might sense the gentle orphaning of all those moments. The hopeful start followed by retreat, the invitations almost accepted. The doors cracked open, never crossed. You might trace with your inner hand each time you blinked at the sunrise, wondering if you could finally trust the day. Maybe you don't name it, maybe the pattern thrives especially in silence. It's not sabotage, it's ancient care curled inside the question, if I open, will I be received? Yet here on this quiet edge you see yourself as both the one waiting and the one delayed, the dreamer and the guard. The ache and the answer, both yours, both sacred. Let yourself breathe into this, let your past, present, and possible become a single shimmering awareness. For now there's nothing to fix, only this noticing. Only this quiet remembering that the pattern itself was love once, still is, and still beneath the pause something in you aches to say yes. Not in a rush, not in demand, just a gentle yes, as honest and ordinary as your own heartbeat, echoing softly in the dark. There is a quiet truth humming beneath all striving. Readiness is not something you have to chase or build or prove. It waits for you, like breath waits for lungs, like a melody waits for a singer. We spend so much of our time collecting gold stars, thinking if we only do enough, learn enough, heal enough, one day we'll finally be allowed to step forward, to be seen, to open our hands and receive. But the ache is not for more work, it's for remembrance. The ache is the soul's way of saying, you are already enough, you always have been. Readiness was never a finish line, it's a return. Why does this matter? Because if you believe you have to earn your readiness, life becomes a waiting room. Years pass while one more certificate, one more apology, one more accomplishment is added to some invisible tally. The doors you long to walk through stand open, but you pause at the threshold, rehearsing. But what if readiness is like spring? The moment the earth remembers how to bloom, nothing and no one holds back the crocus from the sun. You are not meant to rehearse the living of your life. You are meant to remember it in your bones as something already yours. Imagine a child in rain boots outside the window, wild with delight, jumping into puddles before she knows how deep. She doesn't ask, "Am I ready?" Her readiness blooms in the moment her toes leave the ground, trusting the splash will hold her. Remember the way a forest opens after midnight rain. The branches don't question, "Now, did I earn this?" They simply drink, letting water trace ancient, sacred pathways, or the hush before dawn when darkness and light meet in a gentle, inevitable arrival. The day does not bargain for readiness. It slips in because it's time. Again, allow this to settle. Readiness is not given to the worthy, it's remembered by the willing. This matters because if you confuse earning with remembering, you will spend your life on tiptoe, never crossing the gate. It matters because everything you ache for is waiting for your return, not your perfection. Think of an old piano, keys worn by generations of hopeful hands. The song returns effortlessly when someone sits and remembers a joy once played. The song was always there, the fingers only needed to remember. Or the first moment you trust your feet to deep water. Floating is not earned, it's allowed, the water carrying you the moment surrender tips into belief. Or the warmth of laughter shared with someone who sees you. When your guard slides away, you remember you belonged all along and the laughter needs no permission to rise. Let this truth breathe in you. Readiness is not a prize for the most hardened or clever. It is a door that opens when you choose to remember. It matters because this is when healing happens, not at the end of the journey, but in the soft, unguarded act of stepping forward as you are. To see yourself reflected in a quiet lake, dusk softening the shore. You do not earn the moon, its reflection simply appears, remembered by the stillness of your own being. See the migration of birds whose wings stretch, guided by ancient stars, asking no one for permission to go home. Or the sensation of waking in the night, clarity pulsing in the space between dreams, something deep within already knew the whole time. Allow yourself this. Let readiness be the memory you claim, the quiet belonging you turn toward, now and now and now. There's a hush in the late blue night when you finally notice it. The miracle that no door opens a second too soon and none slams shut before your heart has learned the secret it was meant to collect. You might have spent whole seasons believing that divine timing was some faraway force, a cosmic clock somewhere in the great unseeable, ticking out blessings only when you've proven your patience, as if waiting was the price you paid for grace. But what if nothing was made to be kept from you? What if timing is not a test at all, but a field where you and your soul meet to make art together? See, the point is not passivity, never the brittle ache of watching life rush by from behind longing's glass. The point is partnership. Divine timing is a deep breath. It's your soul humming yes below the surface of what you understand, inviting you to move when you genuinely feel moved, and to rest when life drops sun-warm invitation into your open palms. It matters because when you believe you are separate from your timing, you begin to work against your own wind, you hurry, you push. You grit your teeth at the slowness, certain that you'll miss out if you don't wrestle life onto your own clock. And together with your soul, time opens, gentle as honey poured into tea, but when you grip and snatch and demand, even miracles shy away, choosing to slip quietly into tomorrow's dawn, awaiting a softer yes from you. Imagine this. A river swollen from April's thaw, mud dark and eager, no force in the world can hurry it toward the sea. The more you thrash against its banks, the more it pulls you under. But when you become one with the current, letting it carry, letting it hold, you discover a secret. The river wants what you want too, or picture a hallway peppered with closed doors. You spin the handles, rush and rattle, desperate to see what waits on the other side. But above and behind each one there's a tender hand, your own soul, curating which doors swing open now and which require another quiet hour, a deeper inhale before the hinges unstick. And then there's the garden after rain, how every seed, no matter how eager, only splits its shell when the moment is right, the soil warm. the sun close, no flower rushes the bloom by peeling its own petals back. Each of these is a story you already keep below your fourth rib. Each is an invitation to trust the slow choreography your soul knows by heart. That divine timing is not the universe's bargaining chip, but a velvet partnership, sacred and weightless, between you and all you are becoming. So tonight, let yourself remember. You were never meant to wait in the cold for permission. Divine timing is not a gatekeeper, but a garden you and your soul grow together, each wild bloom arriving when both your ache and your readiness ripen at the exact same moment. And maybe that is the real miracle. There is a readiness within you, not the kind with checklists and guarantees, but a softer, older sort of readiness. You don't chase it. It lives already in your bones, humming like a secret sung in a language the heart remembers. Readiness is not a badge earned or permission granted by someone else. It is a quiet feeling, like when dusk tucks the world into lavender shadow and a small flame inside you stirs. In the gentlest places, this knowing flickers. You may not even realize you are listening for it until you hear it, a yes that feels both sudden and eternal, carved somewhere deeper than resolve. Think of a seed in spring. Beneath cold soil it waits, not counting days, not measuring sunlight. Only when the world beneath the ground turns warm and the air grows gentle does the seed crack open, listening to an ancient whisper only it can hear. Go now. Rise, that is what readiness feels like. Not a trumpet, not a push, but the softest invitation from the inside, asking you to bloom before you even notice the light. Sometimes readiness hides in the ache, like missing someone you have never met. It is the way your chest expands involuntarily when you stand on the edge of something unfamiliar. Remember the first time you tried to swim? The way water slipped against your skin, strange and thrilling. You were not ready until you reached for the surface by instinct, not instruction. That silent yes, that surrender to buoyancy, that is how readiness speaks. Or consider how dawn stirs on an unhurried morning. Sleep leaves slowly, feather by feather. There comes a moment not marked by clocks when breath grows deeper and eyes flutter open, not with alarm but with peace. The world is not different, and yet something inside is saying it is time. All the night's dreams have whispered their stories to your roots. Now you are ready to wake. Sometimes you ache to be ready faster. You hold your breath, search for signs, beg the universe for permission, but readiness only ever answers with stillness. Think of a child learning to tie shoes, loops and tangles, little frustrations blooming into patience. One day, almost by accident, the knot forms. Not because someone barked step-by-step instructions, but because the hands remembered. Readiness returned quietly, a skill encoded long before the lesson began. Beneath all striving, readiness ripens. Not on anyone else's timeline, not because you earned it, but because it's yours to begin with. Like muscle memory or an old melody drifting through your mind, it arrives in its own rhythm. Let yourself feel it tonight, not as a task to be completed, but as an inheritance surfacing from a place as old as your spirit. Your readiness is an ancient internal whisper, guiding you softly through the in-between. Some truths do not arrive with crash or thunder, they slip in, quiet as dawn mist, filling the subtle hollows you didn't know had waited so long to be filled. And tonight you sense the settling like soft silt finding its way to the bottom of your riverbed, the water clearing, the depth evident where before was only swirl. Here is where what was once separate, longing, lesson, memory, ache, begins to mingle. Here is where your gentle heart rehearses and repeats, trying new shapes in your sleep, folding old edges into something smoother, something kind. You feel yourself storing each touching not as thought but as warmth. There is nothing more to understand, only the slow, golden hush that follows truth when you stop resisting what is yours. Maybe you imagine yourself as a forest after rain, new scent in the air. Leaves heavy and luminous, drinking the memory of water, roots settling deeper in soothing silence. Or as the last gold light on a mountain, the way shadow expands without force but with certainty. This is how integration happens. Almost shyly, always sacred. Sometimes this process moves like breath, invisible yet utterly vital. Layers shift or dissolve or fold each other in and you barely notice because it feels like relief. There is a tenderness to it, a naturalness, as if you have always known how to do this. Your soul loosens. The work is not to chase but to trust what becomes real in quiet. You rest now as the teachings settle, their wisdom curling through you like soft wind through tall grass. Remember, nothing has to be forced, not under the moon, not under your own skin. Let it all root, let it all ripple, let it become you, in the way rivers remember the sea and every dusk remembers dawn. Close your eyes for me now, let the world grow gentle and far away, as if the stars have come in closer, softening the ceiling of your inner sky. Let your chest rise and fall. Let it echo, slow and kind, like the earth breathing underneath you. With each inhale, draw in the sweetness of this moment. With each exhale, release the carefully held tension, the ancient tightness you forgot you were carrying. Let your jaw loosen. Let your shoulders feel the weight slide from bone to breath, melting into nothing but air. Now imagine you are standing in a field at dawn, the dew cool beneath your bare feet, the horizon painted gentle gold. You stand with hands open, palms wide to the sky, as if to receive rain or miracles. You are held by invisible arms, held by the pulse of the day beginning, held by a wisdom that never hurries, that sings quietly beneath everything. It is time only when it is time. In